Hello, welcome back to Talk Seagulls. This is the Ipswich preview. Brighton are back in action after the international break, and I'm joined with Louis again.
Hello.
I didn't think I'd see you again this quickly, to be fair.
No, I know. We left it far too long last time, so we thought...
Yeah, do you know what? The first time
quicker.
was so nice, as we know. I'm not going to say it because I might get copyrighted, but it's a big one, really, actually, because newly promoted team, who knows what can happen. We're not notoriously that good against newly promoted teams, has to be said. Obviously, Kieran McKenna, the manager, was hugely touted with the move to come into Brighton as well. So there's a lot to talk about, actually, when it comes to this game. But sort of the general gauge from you, Louis, how are you feeling going into, a potential early banana skin?
You know what? I was thinking about this earlier. I thought the first, last year, first game of the season, we had Luton, right? And, De Zerbi had already had a year with us, and obviously we'd had a bit of a change in personnel.
Yeah.
And we went into that game possibly a little bit complacent. And although we did run out victors in the end, it wasn't like the most comfortable looking match. And I think in previous years as well, we've had a few games like this, like you say, sort of banana skins, where newly promoted sides have kind of given us a bit of a shock because we weren't expecting them to be, maybe we were a bit complacent. We didn't expect them to be as good as they were, or we just kind of set off and didn't really pay them enough respect. So I think there is the potential that it could go left, but given the way that we've started, I feel like there is still... I'd still back us, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think you just got to wait and see, really.
You do. But we spoke about this in the last episode we did of how good our squad depth is now. It's not just the old Brighton. It's actually a very different Brighton. We're very new. We've got squad depth now. We've got a lot of them coming back from injury as well, has to be said. I think Kadioglu hopefully should be okay at the time of recording this anyway, with a couple of others as well, just not to name names because we'll probably jinx them. But we've got a lot of players supposedly coming back from injury, a lot of players that are going to be available. So that's for the first time we're going into, say, the newly promoted potential banana skin curse that could be in a better way than we've probably done, in the past. I think, as you say, the complacency is a big thing. I agree. We've seen early signs of Fabian Hertz's football maybe being a little bit exposed at times, maybe with the potential defensive frailties at times. I think we have got better since last season, but there is gaps which especially a very good manager in McKenna could potentially exploit.
Yeah, I think the potential for him to exploit the gaps, definitely. I mean, if you look at the squad, like you say, we've definitely replenished. We're in a much stronger position overall than we were last year.
Definitely.
I think the loss of O'Reilly is going to be quite big because that midfield, I think last year certainly that was where we got so exposed. It left Duncan Van Hecker with far too much to do. The fact that we didn't have a solid, stable base in midfield. Balaba's just come back from international duty with Cameroon. It looked like he had a very, very good game. But whether he's going to be 100% fit to go straight in against Ipswich and make an impact, we're not sure. I mean, I don't know about Vifa's fitness as well. It's
a bit touch and go still until it's confirmed.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's going to be the main thing for me because I feel like that's where, certainly last season we got overrun completely in midfield, and I feel if we've got that solidity especially going into this game where, it's again, we can't be complacent or anything, but if we have that stable midfield, I feel like we can definitely have much more of a dictation of how the game goes. Counter-attacking football, I feel like that was what exposed us a lot last year. So it'd be interesting to see how Herzler treats that sort of style of play and whether Ipswich try and implement that. I know it's not quite the same sort of football they played in the Championship, but obviously everyone's got to adapt. When you come up to the Prem, we had to start playing very, very differently as well.
I think Ipswich will be definitely, it's going to be a bit of a tactical battle, isn't it? As we said before, Hertzler against McKenna. And McKenna was, as we said, so tipped for the Brighton job to the extent where, it was looking pretty certain to be him for the Brighton manager's job. And actually, I got myself in a bit of a mindset thinking it will be him. Obviously, it didn't happen. Credit to him in a way for staying at Ipswich. Obviously, he probably got a very good payout as well to do that. But, he's stuck there and fair play to him. Okay, I have no gripes against him whatsoever.
Not at all,
But he's tactical. He's obviously very good. Otherwise, we wouldn't want him. And actually, that could be either something that goes into our hands. As we've seen in the past, we've had situations where, we play against an expansive team. We actually do better because of it. I think, when we play a team low block, a bit more counter-attacking, things that we don't really like to play against historically. As you said, last season was a lot more of the physical stuff that got past us. But, it was always the low blocks. It was always the ones we couldn't break down. We'd get frustrated with ourselves. We'd start missing chances and losing confidence. Maybe that tactical battle, as much as probably McKenna's actually got a bit more reputation, probably in this country anyway, for being more tactically adequate than probably Hertzler is. It's going to be very, very interesting to see from two sort of young, inexperienced minds. I wouldn't want to say inexperienced in terms of their coaching roles, but inexperienced at the top level. And actually that naivety could be quite an entertaining one, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how they both approach the game. Obviously, two managers in their very first season in top flight football. I don't think Ipswich have started too badly.
No, they haven't, to be fair. They have won, but they've not looked that bad either.
No, exactly. They haven't. I think a lot of people went into the season with the expectation that they would either finish rock bottom or barely survive relegation. And obviously it's very hard to tell this early on, and I feel like they actually recruited fairly well over the summer generally. And I don't know, I think it would be interesting to see, like you say, there's a bit of naivety on both sides, but certainly as a team, from what we have done in the past, if you think about the nucleus of our squad is relatively the same to what it is last season, but we've built upon the existing frailties that we had.
Yeah.
And we definitely play better against sides that like to come at us. Whereas, if they decide to sit back and try and play that low block and a bit of counter-attacking football, who knows how it might go. But then again, from what I've seen, I think Hertzler likes to play a lot of a higher tempo than De Zerbi certainly did. I think De Zerbi's method was very much trying to build it up for as long as physically possible and then look for the best possible option.
So yeah, it was a bit of a passing game, wasn't it?
It was a bit of a passing game. It was a bit of a war of attrition kind of thing. But I feel like with what I've seen from Hertzler so far, it's a bit more like direct. He's going to run at you. He's going to make you panic kind of thing. So it'd be interesting to see how we approach it. And I think it'd be interesting to see how McKenna looks to sort of counter what we bring, because I feel like a lot of managers have done the same since we've got into the Prem. They've realised what we're capable of and they give us a lot more respect. So it'd be interesting to see how they sort of approach us.
I agree. And it has to be said on the Ipswich point of view. One, crazy that they're in the Premier League for a start. They're only in the League One, 2 years ago?
It's crazy.
We got a message from an Ipswich fan as well, which I'm going to get up in a minute. I will give him a proper shout out in a minute. But for Ipswich to be in the Premier League, right, it's the same as how I look at it when we got promoted all that time ago. We remember the first trips, the first times of being in the Prem. It's a whole experience. And there'll probably be Ipswich fans watching this right now that are in that situation of let's enjoy the ride. And until you start getting beaten and it's not the same as the Championship we're going to win every single week. But that whole experience, all I could physically say to an Ipswich fan that's watching this at the moment, it's a bigger wake-up call, I think, is the way I'll put it, because the destination's better than... Sorry, the journey's better than destination, isn't it? Always. It's always better to get promoted. It's always better to win them games in the Championship and see your team skyrocket up the league and you're winning nearly every week. Then you come to the Premier League and it's a bit of a... it's a wake-up call. But the experience of going to the big grounds, going to, see your team against some of the best players in the world, against some of the best managers in the world. I mean, that experience in itself, for Ipswich fans coming into Brighton, we're nowhere near that level, but we completely get what they mean.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think about, certainly when we were younger, even like 10 years ago, maybe even a bit longer, you think about the days that we would have cup away days playing at Manchester United. Like, that was a fixture that never came around very often, away at Arsenal. Those days for us were things that really stuck in our minds, like really stuck in the memory. And the fact that you're going to get to have these experiences now, week in, week out, we treasured those memories back then.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, we're very lucky that we've been run so well that we've managed to sustain our place in the Premier League and begin to thrive. And I think Ipswich, from what I've seen, they're a fairly well-run club. And I think the fact they've managed to hold on to McKenna does speak volumes about their ethos as well. I think the fact that he's bought into the plan that they've got, clearly long-term, I think that's really, really good for them. So, yeah, I think for Ipswich fans, they've just got to, like you say, enjoy the ride. We didn't certainly know when we came in how long it was going to last. People wrote us off straight away and said, they're going to go straight back down.
Yeah.
So you never know. You never know, but the games that you get, the experiences that you get, you've just got to enjoy them.
Agree. And actually, just while we're on that subject, it's 7 years ago to the day, to the time of recording this. So it'll be the 7 years ago to the week of this game that we got our first ever Premier League win against West Brom at the Amex. Pascal Gross got 2. I think Thomas Hemmer got the other one. And it was an unbelievable one. And we still remember that game like it was yesterday.
Oh, absolutely.
It was 7 years ago, 2017. Scary that 7 years ago. But the fact that that's all that time's gone. Brighton are a different team now. We've seen so many different things. We've been on a European adventure since then. We're looking to go again. And all that time's gone. But yeah, I still remember that first win like it was yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want Ipswich to get their first win, by the way. But but like that whole experience is for Ipswich fans, when that happens, hopefully not this weekend, but when that does happen, it will always be remembered in your history.
Oh,
forever.
absolutely. Massively.
Definitely. Anyway, we've got Rich here, the Ipswich fan.
Yeah. That's a lovely phone case, by the way.
It's a lovely phone case. Now, I don't know where you get this. Maybe it's a Talk Seagulls one. I could be wrong. Anyway. So this is Rich anyway.
Hi everybody, my name's Rich from the Suffolk Crunch YouTube channel with a few thoughts ahead of Saturday's Ipswich Town game at the Amex. First visit for Town to Brighton in 7 years. Last time out we visited, it was a 1-1 draw. Luke Chambers scored for Town. Tom Ahmed scored a penalty for Brighton in a 1-1 draw. It's been a absolutely fantastic 2.5 years so far under Kieran McKenna. You guys looked at him in the summer to when De Zerbi had obviously left. Man United looked at him. Chelsea looked at him. But he stayed at Town, and we're all massively, massively delighted when he signed that new 4-year contract. Do I think he'll be here for 4 years? No, I don't, because I think he's one of the best young coaches in the country. But yeah, it's been a good start for Town. We've only got 1 point in the first 3 games. Obviously, we had the hardest start probably possible that we could have when we made our return. Town last time out before the break played Fulham at home. It was a 1-1 draw. It was a really good performance by Town. Probably a draw was just about fair. If there was a team that were going to win that game in the second half, it probably would have been Town. But it was a really positive performance. Liam Delap scored a great goal. If you've all seen it on Match of the Day, I think that was in the voting for goal of the month. It didn't win, but it was a fantastic strike from Liam. It was his first goal. He was one of 12 signings we made in the summer. He come from Man City. Town have done most of their shopping at the top end of the Championship because when you're getting promoted, obviously it's a harsh fact that this team for the last 2 years have pretty much been the same group of players. We've had a few signings, but the majority of the players have played in League One. We had 7 players in the first game against Liverpool that have played in League One. And then last week there was only 3. So it's obviously we needed to add quality. We've signed Jacob Greaves, very good signing from Hull City. Amari Hutchinson, he was on loan last season. I think if Kieran doesn't stay, I don't think Amari comes back, but we signed him from Chelsea. Jack Clark, Sammy Smodics. Yeah, we've made some really good signs. Obviously, we've got Calvin Phillips, England international. The news broke, and I thought, there's no way we are signing Calvin Phillips. But he's come in. He made his home debut last Saturday. I think it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, heading to the Amex. But I think it'll be a really good game of football. Obviously, Brighton under new management. In my opinion, they're a club Ipswich can model themselves on. I think this is it the 7th or 8th season that you've been here? It seems even if your managers move on, you have that sort of set way that you're going to play. Obviously, Tony Bloom's done a magnificent job. I mean, I remember going to the Withdean, and the Amex is a fantastic football stadium, fantastic facility. And if I was a Brighton fan, I'd be really proud of my club and the job that we've done, because I mean there were so many years that you were in the doldrums, and it's how football like goes in cycles, doesn't it? When you're struggling, and then obviously now you're back, you've been in Europe, and I think Town could model themselves on a team like Brighton, but it's just all about Town this season staying in the division. It's going to be hard, I know that, but I think we've shown enough in the 3 games that we're going to be competitive, but we still do need points on the board, and we've got some obviously every game's a tough game, and if we take anything from the Amex on Saturday, I think we'd all be absolutely delighted. If I'm being honest, I don't see Town getting a result. A positive performance would be good because we've got obviously Southampton away after the following Saturday, and that's going to be a big game for both clubs because we're both going to be down there. But I think Town they'll show Saturday that we're a good football team. Whether we will do enough to get a result, who knows? But I will go for a narrow 2-1 defeat, but with a positive performance for Town. And I think as long as the performance levels keep high, I think we can pick up enough points to be safe in the league this season. But yeah, looking forward to a trip to the Amex.
Okay, just one thing. I actually didn't watch that before at all. So this is completely the first time I've seen it. So top quality video from Rich. Make sure you follow him on all of his stuff as well. Top guy. Obviously that's Brighton, which is good to hear. But the most thing that I picked out from that, mate, I completely forgot they got Calvin Phillips.
Do you know
I
what?
really did.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, yeah, Calvin Phillips definitely is going to bring a lot of quality to their midfield. I feel like you said, they brought in, I think it was eight players. You said started in League One in that first game against Liverpool.
Yeah.
And the fact that they, to be fair, the performance they put in against Liverpool, Arne Slot, who has come in and done a ridiculous job, like he looks unbelievable for them. The fact that he's come in and he's faced, like I said, they faced two of the best teams in England, arguably the two best
In the
moment.
world, to be fair.
Yeah, as well. And to do what they've done so far, despite the fact they didn't pick up any points from those games, they showed they can hold their own. So I think from their side, it's very much you're going to get these defeats. And like we did when we first came to the Prem, we had these defeats and we had to take the batterings every now and again. But you just have to realise that it's not the end of the world. Like you are going to have to deal with these sorts of games.
That's actually going to be a huge test for McKenna.
Yep.
Because in the 2 years he's been there, he's obviously got back-to-back promotions. Obviously, he's not expecting to win the league for Ipswich this year. If he did that, that would be quite an unbelievable achievement.
Yeah.
But that reality of you have to get used to losing. As we said earlier, it's the whole new experience. It's not that easy to be in the Premier League. Even at our level now, we've made all these great signings, but we still sort of look at even a game like against Ipswich, the newly promoted team, we're a bit thinking, there's no given right that we should go in and win this game, or anyone should go in and win any game. So
I think that's the beauty of the Premier League, though.
Definitely,
like, it is very much, despite the fact that you do have some teams that can just overpower anybody. It's a fairly competitive league all the way through. And you think about the time that Norwich were up as well. I know it's obviously rivals, but when they were up, that same year that City got, I think it was nearly 100 points, they lost to Norwich, and Norwich finished last. I think. The fact that despite the fact that you might be on paper listed as one of the worst teams in the league. It's still entirely possible to get these results.
Definitely, yeah.
And actually, I think this is where Calvin Phillips as a signing will come in very handy. Yeah. Because he's played under Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
He's played with Leeds, and they've had to deal with a couple of relegation.
Did well at England as well at the Euros. I think it was.
Exactly.
Before gone.
And so he's got that experience and that getting used to the Premier League. I feel like for them, he could be a very, very key player. And I think more from the mental side of the game as well as the tactical and the ability side of it. So, I think for them, Calvin Phillips would be very, very key. Obviously, I think they'd like to hold on to Sarmiento. And they also tried to sign Carl Rushworth.
They've actually got Christian Walton in there as well, which is actually quite
what a throwback that is.
Obviously, one of our youth boys that's come through. And, it's good actually to see Walton in the Premier League now. He's certainly done it the hard way, to be fair to him. It has taken him a long time to get up there, but he's here, and it's a credit to him. But I wouldn't put Ipswich as one of them worst teams in the league. I don't because I think that they're a good team. I think that they recruit really well. I think it was when they were in League One, there was an article published about them. I think it was The Athletic maybe that did it, and saying how that they basically do base a lot of their stuff on what Brighton's success has been. Not probably what Brighton do, but Brighton's success. And he obviously Rich alluded to it in his video there. It's a base model now for clubs that are coming up from the depths of the leagues. They look at Brighton. People look at Brighton. This is crazy for us, right? It doesn't feel like long ago we were the team that was dying for any win that we could get, any goal that we could get. And people base their dreams on Brighton now. Ipswich would like to be how Brighton have been in the last few years. So
it's weird though, because you remember that people used to talk about teams like Brighton.
Yeah.
Right. That was very much a big thing on social media. People would go, we shouldn't be losing to teams like Brighton. Now people say they want to be a team like Brighton.
It's crazy.
Like that's
It's got a whole new meaning.
It's literally got an entire new meaning. And I feel like, obviously, when I said that, like, down there as one of the worst teams in the league, on paper, obviously it's very different to how you actually play on the pitch. And it's not a disrespect at all. But if you think about how the teams, everyone else around them has built, solidified Premier League sides with players with a lot of more like Premier League experience, that categorically would put them down towards the bottom end of the table.
Yeah.
But like you said, we haven't seen anything yet. Like, who knows how they might come out the blocks and start, picking up points from places we don't expect them to.
And just finally on the point of Ipswich, the point of everyone really, to be honest, that term Premier League experience is probably one of the most annoying phrases that probably the older generation has adapted into what you need to be a Premier League team is Premier League experience. We have hardly any in our team, right? The players we bring in have next to no Premier League experience. It's very rare we bring in a player with Premier League experience, apart from obviously like a Danny Welbeck or something in recent years. We tend to shop in the Championship, we tend to shop abroad. We tend to get sort of young players who are very inexperienced, base their model on the likes of Lewis Dunk, on the likes of Adam Webster, etc. Those around them that have that experience that can boost them up, and that are leaders at Brighton. But the actual term signing a Premier League experience, having Premier League experience, I think it's changed now. I really do. I think teams now, recruiting players that are here for the long term, or even players that can boost your stock up in the short term. Like how we've done in so many successful ways. I think if Ipswich can keep it something similar, I'm not saying to do exactly what we do because that's ridiculous, but the way they've sort of done it, the way they've got up, as Richard alluded to as well, they've hardly changed. There's not been too much of a turnover in players since they're at the original sort of point. And, Lewis Dunk was in League One with Brighton. He's come up through the leagues with us as well. So it's important to have that core of that's what I'd call it, the core of the team, the core that goes back and cares about the club.
Yeah, very much.
That's
so,
important.
It's more the fact that they've kept that core, like you say, a core group of people together, and they've built that sort of chemistry and they've built everything together. Yeah. And the fact that you look at our Championship side, the Championship side that finished second, for the first maybe 3-4 years, about half that squad was still with us. Yeah. After we got promoted. A lot of them have sort of come back as well. We've got Baldock and Hamed. Here now, which is a huge, they were huge in us getting promoted. I'm trying to think of players that. Well, people like Glenn Murray as well.
Glenn Murray now an ambassador. Sidwell's now an ambassador. So a lot of players have stuck in and around the squad. Is my point.
Yeah, and even they buy into the philosophy of the club.
Absolutely, and then you've obviously got players, as I said, like Adam Webster, Jason Steele, Adam Lallana, who was here for such a long period of time. Now Danny Welbeck, as I mentioned earlier. Milner. They're players that care about the club. James Milner's obviously a great, experienced individual. So. Yeah, it's about keeping that rough balance, but I think Ipswich could be all right. I really do. But we've done the talk anyway. We've done the talk about both teams. Let's get some predictions in here.
Okay.
Let's do the hard bit, because I've got to be honest. Yeah, I'm actually quite confident, and I don't say that in a way of anything about Ipswich or anything about anything. To be honest, I just look at the players that we haven't even seen play yet, and players that I'm really excited to see have a go. Players like Gruder, players like Jorginho, players that we haven't really seen, but we know that they're top talents. I think that there's an opportunity here with players that, as we said about the international break, we've had quite a few out on international duties, which may be altering the team. Obviously, João got his huge call up to Brazil, which hopefully, please don't get injured before Saturday, because we could be seeing a different change in team. But there's a lot of players here in our squad that could be quite interesting ones to watch.
Yeah, no, I think, like you said, with the international break, people like Bart going away. Simon played a lot of minutes over in the AFCON qualifiers, and he looked very, very sharp as well. But it's Carlos playing for Cameroon, playing a starring role again.
JP's call up as well.
JP got the call up. I don't know about minutes for him, but there is still very much the chance that having these players away on international duty might affect that starting lineup. And I think the players that haven't necessarily been given a chance to prove themselves yet, this might be the opportunity. Yeah. Might be just the chance to then say, on a game that, not to say it has less riding on it, because it doesn't. Like every game has something riding on it, but it's more the fact that it's a game where maybe the expectations for the opposition aren't quite as high. And again, that's not a disrespectful thing.
It's probably because we're now the favourite, and we don't normally do very well as that.
That's what I mean. When you're the favourite side, like, you almost have a little less pressure on you. So I feel like maybe the players know that they might go into this situation like some of the younger players, people like Gruder, they might come in and really have a chance to really shine. So,
Or we just keep seeing this man here behind you.
of course, yeah, Mr.
Young Cuba.
Minter. Yeah,
Love that. But he's been great. And I think it's just testament to how good our squad is, as we've said before. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how we go about it. But yeah, I'm gonna say I'm a bit bold. I'll start the scores off. Yeah. I know you said about Arsenal. It's been a pretty good one to build off, really. One where we can sort of, take a bit of pride out of it. We've gone away to a team that should have, steamrolled us in reality. If you go into it, Arsenal are tipped as being one of the best teams in the league.
Oh yeah, they're very, very
comfortable title contenders. Did a very good job, had a good chance of winning. And I think, again, it was testament to sort of the team that Hertzler's building. And actually, one thing that Hertzler deserves credit for is the way he changes the game at the moment. His substitutions are key. He makes them at good times. He brings on sort of quality when we need it. Different quality as well. Yassine Ayari, he's also been in Sweden, by the way.
Yeah, that's
getting
true.
really, really good plaudits out there.
Yeah.
You called him.
I did call it. I'm telling you, this guy is going to be. He's going to be the nuts. I'm telling you now.
He had a good game last night, I think, at the time of recording this anyway. So let's say, all that considered, Arsenal, United, Everton, good start, internationals, young players getting a lot of experience. I'm saying a 2-0 win.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think I echo what he said. I reckon it's probably going to be like a 2-1.
You're really narrow here. You're really cagey about this.
Well, you see, I've always had this thing about complacency. I
Yeah.
feel like, now we're establishing ourselves more. Some teams might come to us with a little less fear. And I feel like sometimes we might go into these games thinking, like maybe taking it slightly for granted. And I don't want us to do that, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't know. I just feel like sometimes let's say we take a 2-0 lead. I feel like we have taken our foot off the gas a little bit. And maybe just gradually let people back into the game.
Yeah.
I think it was Spurs, I'm not sure if it was last year, the year before. I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Where we went up 4-0.
Oh, yeah.
Pedro
last
scored
season.
2 penalties.
Yeah.
And we completely let our foot off the gas. And suddenly, bang, bang. They
Yeah.
scored 2 goals. And then the last 10 minutes,
We were scared that was going to go as well.
we were getting absolutely they were piling it on
Yeah.
for the last 10 minutes. And I feel like because we got to that position where we were so comfortable, we just let them back into the game. And I feel like, sometimes when people's backs are against the wall, they feel like they've got nothing more to lose. If we've taken a 2-0 lead against Ipswich, they might just throw everything at us. It might be different, the way we played at Everton, where we really took a real iron grip on the game and just went, right, we are going to completely steamroll them.
Yeah.
So we might see that again.
Different managers, I guess, as well. Different squads, as we said before. So
Yeah.
there are changes in last season to now.
There
as well.
are. But yeah, like I said, I think you touched on it actually about the way that Hertzler manages the game, especially with the substitutions. I feel like last year, De Zerbi was very, I don't want to say stingy with the subs, but he was very hesitant to make them and actually make them at good times and be sensible with the changes that he did make. So the fact that Hertzler, if he sees an opportunity with the subs, he's taking them.
Yeah.
The fact that he brought in a Dingra against Man United and Baleba as well, instant game changers.
And Arsenal as well, actually.
And
brought in
Arsenal,
a
true.
Dingra.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
went in for the kill again.
Yeah, when we saw an opportunity when they went down to 10 men, and even after that, they still had opportunities to win the game.
Yeah.
But we sniffed blood at that point, and we saw, right, let's make these changes. Let's be positive. Let's really take it to them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that Hertz has done really, really well. So I think given the fact that, if we do take an early lead or whatever, we want to maintain that firm grip on the game. I feel like Hertz will manage that tactically a lot better than maybe De Zerbi would have done.
Yeah, let's hope so. I think, a lot of good points there. I think we're now in as you say, maybe in a position of expectation, and it's, we are the ones to watch, and I think we're aware of that. And I think we deserve the pressure that we put on ourselves because we've put a lot of money into this season. We've spent nearly £200 million.
Yeah, biggest investment we've made ever.
Yeah, ever. Yeah. So this is it for us. I think this is the one where we start to maybe put that pressure on and say, look, we have to win this game. Games are now must wins. It's no longer we're relying on £10 million signings from abroad or £10 million signings that maybe aren't with game changers at the highest level. But now we're putting 40 million into Leeds' best player, for example. So we're in a different situation to what the club's been in. But I think we'll be okay. It'll be tough. I get what you mean. I get your reservation because you're a Brighton fan just like me, and I completely get it.
But this is Brighton
we'll
we're
stick with
talking
it.
about.
This
That's the
is
only
Brighton,
thing.
no doubt.
We are Brighton. This is what we do. We just
We
occasionally
bottle
have
it.
these moments where we can,
Yeah, we do have that sort of, donkey gene at times, but let's just hope that it doesn't happen again. Louis, been an absolute pleasure as always here in the Caxton. It's been great. I love coming here, mate. I love coming here with Brett. No beers today.
No.
Lightweight, you are.
I'm on the water.
Yeah.
I mean, it was my
terrible.
birthday yesterday. I had a bit of a heavy one, so I'm just recovering.
No, I rate that. Well, happy birthday for yesterday. Make sure you put in the comments for your predictions. Say happy birthday to Lou if you want to. We'll see you very soon. Make sure you come to the Caxton as well. And we'll see you probably just after Ipswich, I'd say. Yeah,
Probably,
about then.
yeah.
Anyway, thank you. Goodbye.